Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review The Last Duel, and this is from Ridley Scott, and is from screenwriters Nicole Cerner, but also Ben Affleck, and Matt Damon, who also appear in the film as well, as this is the story of the last sanctioned duel in France, focusing on Knight Jean de Carrouges, who fights for his wife's honor after a squire, Jacques Legre, rapes his wife and, battle to the death. And this is a very interesting narrative in how everything is told. Because you start at the beginning, setting up for the duel, things are about to hit, and then bam, you flash back, and then I see everybody saying like Rashomon, and it has the framed the narrative is structured in the fact that there's three different perspectives, and we get this film told in three different perspectives. And it's very interesting because I wonder if each of the screenwriters wrote a specific section. Because it would make a lot of sense if Matt Damon wrote the first section that focuses on his character, who, from his perspective, is a noble knight, a knight-to-be, as he reaches up to that place, and he's badly done to. And his wife, who supports him no matter what, is raped, and he must get revenge and justice against Adam Driver's character. And then we get Adam Driver's perspective, which is he's in love with Matt Damon's wife, and he feels like he's owed this. And it's still really gross. Really, really gross. And then the most important one, the truth, which is Marguerite's perspective, Jodie Comer's character, and how that's framed. What's so interesting is how the story is framed builds the tension throughout the film leading up to this duel at the end, which is extremely visceral, brutal, violent, bloody, and everything it needed to be to blow off all the tension and anger and frustration that's been building up this whole entire film. And then each of these stories lays out things, and the next one builds on it, reframes it, and builds intrigue and helps the audience question what's really going on. And that intrigue keeps building in a very effective way, and Ridley Scott's able to direct this to pieces. I don't think there was ever a moment that I sat there not believing what was on screen. And for a 2-hour and 32-minute film, I thought this moved very well. And I was really taken aback by this film, and Ridley Scott proves that he's still got it. And this is a timely story. Stuff like this is still going on. Every time you hear a Me Too story and Me Too coming up, it's like basically what's going on is this woman's whole entire existence is all framed by men, and even like she's not bringing this claim against Adam Driver's character, her husband is. And it's all about that and how she's not believed. And there's such an interesting dynamic in terms of how each scene is played out when there's scenes played out in each of the different stories, because there is this different perspective, this different narrative, and how it plays out. And there's a morphing of these characters that is done so well. And like Matt Damon plays a very noble and likable person in the first part of this film, and you realize very quickly that he's actually really insecure and childish and immature and kind of a big baby, and then also ruthless and just cold-hearted, and realizing that no, this really isn't a good marriage. And then you have Adam Driver's character, who seems so conniving in one moment, and the next is really charismatic, but also disgusting. Absolutely disgusting, and so self-absorbed with himself, but also so self-assured of his skills. And his dynamic, especially with Ben Affleck's character, who is like the douchiest lord, and Ben Affleck plays it so perfectly, and it played really obnoxiously, especially in the way that Adam Driver sees this man who's above him that really shouldn't be, because he's a clown and doesn't have the skills that Driver has, and he sees the abilities and sees the worth in Marguerite and Comer's character, and that's why he has this infatuation with her. And then you see her and her perspective and how vulnerable she is, but also strong and actually capable, which her husband doesn't see, and which Adam Driver's character fetishizes for himself. And she is just a strong woman who knows what she's doing and makes connections with people, but has to struggle because she's in this dilemma. And this is such an interesting and complicated story, and it all pulls together because all that tension, all that frustration, everything boils up to the point, and boy does this duel pay off, because my god, this has to be one of the most intense and visceral fights I've seen in a movie, and it made me, like, it was exactly what I needed, and I was, like, gasping in the theater, and not just because of my mask. But no, you're sitting there, like, something happens, and you're just like, it took my breath away a couple times because it was so brutal and went places and was shocking, and boy did Ridley Scott direct the hell out of this movie. And if you couldn't tell, I love this film, and this jumped right into the top 5 of my films for this year, and I really hope that some of these other films coming out competes with it, but right now, this is one of the most impressive films I've seen all year. Ridley Scott still has it, and I'm very interested to see what he does with House of Gucci. But this is a tough, very poignant, and affecting, and visceral film that has really strong performances and intriguing, because like Matt Damon's really strong, Ben Affleck is really entertaining, Jodie Comer steals the show, and Adam Driver is just Adam Driver, and he just is magnetic to watch, and a lot of very impressive small character roles throughout the film as well. And in the end, Last Duel is, to me, a must-see, and boy did I love watching this in a theater. But those are my thoughts on The Last Duel. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.